Celeb Savant is a career retrospective type interview focusing on singers, actors, and industry experts. Join Barrett Edelstein now as he dives into the entertainment world.
Dan Sultan is one of Australia's most loved singer-songwriters, boasting numerous accolades to his name, including 7 ARIA Awards, NEMA Awards, top 5 ARIA charting albums, and an ARIA certified gold record. 2023 self-titled album Dan Sultan won the ARIA for Best Adult Contemporary Album and was also nominated for Best Solo Artist and Best Independent Release. Dan has toured countless times, playing headline shows to sold-out crowds, as well as supporting the likes of Bruce Springsteen, Midnight Oil, and built on some of Australia's biggest festivals, including Splendour in the Grass, Blues Festival, and Falls Festival, to name a few. Up next on Celeb Savant, we've got Dan Sultan. Where in the world are you and how are you doing?
I'm in Sydney, Australia, and I'm doing well. Thank you. It's a beautiful rainy day here, and we live on a beautiful river, and It's a nice place to be.
Awesome. So now let's rewind. At what age did you decide or think in your mind or brain that, cool, I want to be in the music world, and how did that journey accumulate to where we are today?
Yeah, well, I know it was never something that I decided to do. It's always been a compulsion in my life, and very passionate about making work and creating art. And it was never something that I remember actually deciding I was going to do. It's something that's always been with me. It's been a bit of a constant, a bit of a rock for me in my life. Yeah, I feel very fortunate for that. I'm very lucky to be able to say so. Yeah, I love music. I love listening to music, and I love making music that I want to listen to, you know. So in that way, it's very simple.
Okay, so it was a constant and a rock in your life for a longest time. So the point that it started transitioning, that you actually realized, cool, this could actually be a successful career, and it started gaining traction and followers and fans. From that point, was that a surprise for you to realize, oh, wow, this could actually be my journey? And how did that path continue to grow?
I think it was pretty seamless. I mean, I was a child and I loved music and I played music and I was, learning guitar, but I always felt like I could play music and I always felt like I did play music. And then it just sort of naturally progressed into young adulthood and, needing to pay the rent and provide for myself. And it was just something that I did to do that. And, I've played in a lot of bars and I've played in a lot of clubs, and sometimes people listen and sometimes they don't, and I've played for tips. I've certainly done it. I mean, what is traditional, but I guess I didn't sign a record contract until my 3rd album. I've been independent, solely independent. I'm still relatively independent, but I was totally independent up till then. It's a long answer to a short question, but the short answer is I think I'm still waiting for that moment. That's the thing. I keep moving the goalposts. I keep moving the line. The top of the mountain, keeps the mountain keeps getting bits put on top of it. And, if I look back, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, actually. If I look back, I've been able to do a lot of wonderful things and experience a lot of amazing things because of my music and because of my career in music. And I think 15 years ago, if you had to put everything I've done, you had to put that on a piece of paper, it would look pretty daunting. And, I think I'd be excited as well, but I don't know. I try to be in the moment, and I think I naturally am able to be in a lot of ways. So that sort of makes for, sometimes you need to force yourself to, or you get forced to stop and just look around a little bit. But every record's better than the last. Every song is better than the last one I wrote. And I'm just trying to, it's all about the work, I'm just trying to hone my craft and be as good as I can be. It wasn't like a moment necessarily that it happened. And I guess in a lot of ways, I'm still waiting for it to happen, So it's that can be a frustrating place, but it can also, it's a nice place to be. You're just having something to work for.
Yes, you pushing the goalposts. The reason I'm smiling and giggling to myself as you're speaking is because I'm very similar to you. I've like created these achievements, but then you put the goalposts in the mountain, as you reference, a little bit higher or a little bit further. And it's a reminder for me as well. And I'm asking you this question I'm reminding myself in the same moment. Once you've looked at those goalposts that you have achieved and achieved those goals, do you like, oh, actually I did that. Well done. Good work. Or do you just like sort of, okay, now it's just the next thing?
A little bit of both. I find that I'm getting better at being able to smell the roses, so to speak, somewhat. I think it's a balance for me now. I'm getting a lot more balance these days, where I'm able to do that sort of thing, but not without ambition as well.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of work that I've done and achievements that I've had, but I would certainly love to go as far as, I don't think I'll ever stop, so where that takes me,
yes,
we'll see. But I am very proud of it, and I feel like I'm only getting better. And but it's such a crazy thing. I mean, it's not, the creative field, there's no real indicators along the way. You know, like 1 + 1 doesn't necessarily equal 2. I was just talking to someone about it today. I've worked very hard, and I've been fortunate to be able to have those opportunities. I've worked hard for those opportunities, and I've received a lot of acknowledgement in some areas, be it accolades or, critical, acclaim and things like that. But then there's, some friends of mine in the industry who perhaps, haven't been awarded those sorts of things throughout their career, but they get a lot of other things, that I maybe haven't got as much, or whether it's streaming or, things like that. And so there's all these variables, and it's a strange economy. It's sort of all so fluid. Yeah. You need to be able to stop and smell the roses sometimes, or you'll drive yourself mad, which sometimes I can do.
I can totally relate. Absolutely. And it's also important in our brains to realize, cool, that's all these other people's journeys in this crazy 1 + 1 = 222, rather than mine, and trying, okay, well, that's their opportunities. And it's not about why haven't I had them? It's just that, okay, these are the steps I'm taking, and maybe that will be down the line or later. So I totally get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a really nice place to be. I mean, I think we can all, when we work in the same area as someone else, we can all kind of look for comparisons and things like that. And I think that's a nice place to be, or at least a nice place to come back to, after maybe looking into a few things like that. It's interesting. I love collaborating as well. Most of my work is collaboration. I do plenty of work in isolation as well, which I really enjoy also, but I really love collaborating. Oh, it's about half and half, really. And one thing I love about collaborating is working with, exactly like you say, people have got so many different stories. Of course, everyone, if we're all individuals, I love to be with someone who I respect and admire and, sometimes love as a friend and colleague, and love their work and enjoy their success, and be there if they're feeling a bit prickly about some things as well. And there's a really beautiful thing that happens in a great collaboration, where each party will bring themselves to the situation, and, we're able to work on those things together. And make something beautiful. I mean, I have a young family. I have 2 kids, 2 and 4, and, I'll go to the studio in the morning, and I'll spend the day with a colleague and a friend, again, who I've got so much respect for and admiration for, and we'll have a great time, and we'll create a song that didn't exist that morning. And then I'll come home and I'll dance to that song with my kids at the end of the day, I mean, it's a pretty beautiful thing, so I'm very, very fortunate. It's all very cathartic as well, being creative and being able to work on yourself and work on some things about yourself and put it into a song or not put it into a song, whatever the case may be, to avoid it. It's something I feel very fortunate for.
So when you've referenced collaboration, now, obviously you collaborate with a bunch of people or artists or creatives that and then sometimes you collaborate with people you are new. So when it's a person or new energy in the room that you have yet to collaborate with, you just go there, cool, I'm going to be open and vulnerable, or do you take time to get to know them? Or is it a little bit more difficult, that situation? Or how do you approach that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, it all just depends on the session itself and the person itself. I mean, not every session yields great results. I mean, I've actually done a session this week with someone who I did 2 sessions in the last few days. Someone I've known for a long time and I work with a lot, and then a couple of days after that, I did a session with someone who I'd only just met that day, and both yielded really beautiful results. A few months ago, I did a session with someone who I've known for a while, who's an incredible musician, and we just didn't sort of land anywhere, and it was fine. Most sessions that I've been a part of, I'm fortunate to say, has come out with something, and I think it's that openness that you refer to and that vulnerability, which is really important. And I think being a creative is having the capacity for empathy more than anything. And obviously, having some talent and being able to do things musically or with words or, whatever, having that empathy and being able to be a bit fluid with a situation or a person or a mood or a vibe, and being really being able to work with that is very important in collaboration and creativity in general, I think. I mean, I've written songs that are very personal to me, and I've also written songs that are fiction. But when you're in the room and you're in the space and you're writing it or you're on stage and you're singing it, if you don't empathize with the narrative and the story and the creation of that piece, then there's no point. I've certainly had sessions where it hasn't amounted to anything. Not, again, been very fortunate, not for any other reason than it just doesn't kind of go that way sometimes. And I think that generally speaking, I've worked in a lot of places with a lot of people, around the world, in North America and a bit in Europe and certainly in Australia. And I think generally speaking, that's just a bit of an understanding when you come into a session, whether you know the person or not, but especially if you don't know the person, you just get in there and you see if you're able to do something. And, often you're able to do something. I mean, that person I referred to who I just met the other day, we're friends now, where it's a nice thing, make new friends and you get to dance to new music.
The new people that you collaborate with, is it through social media you find them, potentially the record label, networking? How do you find the new people to work with?
Yeah, I mean, all of those things definitely as valid as the next. I mean, this particular person, this new person last week, they're good friends with someone I'm really close to, and my friend said, "Oh, I think this would work out well." And they're an artist as well, my friend. And they said, "Oh, I think you two, might do something cool." And so, we got it going and, it worked out really well. That being said, I've worked with some people recently and in the past where, my management and my label have gotten in touch with their people and, people who help them out with that sort of thing. And, you just see if something's going to work. I've just booked another session with some people who I only just met about a month or so ago, and we wrote a really beautiful song together. We've just booked a couple more sessions. So, look, all of those things are pretty valid. There are certainly opportunities that can be explored through something like a label, when they have contacts and connections. And I'm actually speaking, my label and I are actually speaking about that at the moment with some people I haven't worked with before, which is, really exciting. But, that being said, it could just be a friend of a friend. And luckily they live in the same city as I do. So I'll go to their studio and we'll see what happens. It's a nice thing. And again, there's no quota that you need to fill or anything like that. You go in and you're open, but that's the thing about being an artist as well, is that empathy. It's that, the antenna gets spoken about a lot. And I really believe in that, and that being vulnerable and being open to these songs that are flying around, and if you're lucky, you get to catch one of them, or not catch one of them. You get to spend time with one of them for a little while, and put your name on it. You know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. All the artists, or most of the artists I've spoken to, have referenced the exact same thing in different words. So I'm smiling because I completely get what you say.
And when it works, you feel it, and it's just like, and you feel. And there's a thing about being match fit as well, when you've been doing quite a few sessions and you've been doing some really great work and work that you're proud of, and you come into a new session, and things just start clicking. It's a good thing.
You reference performing live. So a couple of questions around this. A, what do you enjoy about it? And B, I noted that you have performed at festivals, you performed opening for other artists, and you've headlined your own shows. So obviously the energy you bring to each of those three is the same, but what is the difference for you of those three?
I mean, a festival, it's pretty, you fly by the seat of your pants a bit. It's just go, go, go. And it's exciting and it's fun, and you're there with your friends, and you get your other, so your mates are playing as well. You get to see your friends play, or you get to see a band that you enjoy. It's an experience, but the show itself, you just go in as ready as you can possibly be. Generally speaking, with a festival, you're prepared for something to go wrong, just because it's just the nature of a situation like that. It's just bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
And, law of averages, your mix isn't going to be as good as it is at your own show, and things like that. You try to, sort as much of that out as you possibly can. And generally speaking, I mean, I've got really amazing crew and an incredible band. So generally speaking, we're okay. But you just, you go in and you just go, well, let's see what happens. We've got an hour. It's an intense, adrenaline-based kind of scene, and it's a lot of fun. And then when you're opening up for someone else, it can be a little bit similar to a festival in the sense you kind of just do your best, because it's not your room or it's not your stage, really, and that needs to be respected. It's the stage of another artist, and they have things how they need things, and you need to be able to fit around that, and and you do, and you appreciate the opportunity, and you just do the best job you can. And then with your own show, I mean, it's pretty luxurious. I recently did some headline shows of some concert halls here in Australia, and you get there in the middle of the day. You're kind of, you got your luggage with all your change of clothes, and there's a nice room with a bathroom, and it's almost like you got a little hotel room out the backstage, and especially these concert halls, they're just beautiful and so comfortable. And you spend a good amount of time getting ready, getting the sound right, rehearsing maybe a couple of bits here and there that needed a bit of work from the last show, and it's pretty luxurious. But again, it's one of the reoccurring factors to all of those scenarios is it's a rush, a good adrenaline rush, But then there's, you play sort of smaller venues, and there's a certain romance that comes along with that. At the end of last year, I did a couple of shows. I did one show in Canberra, which is about 3 hours south of Sydney, and then about 3 hours south from Canberra, I did another show in a place called Albury, and it was just me and my guitar in my car. Off you go, and you're just on your own, and there's a certain certain romance to that. Look, when it is only that, for me, and it has been in the past, it can get a bit monotonous and can get me down a little bit. But at the moment, I have a really, really big mix of all types of shows, which help to keep me motivated.
Then you won the ARIA Award last year. Congratulations. for that album. So you referenced the
Thank you.
different writing sessions and stuff, you're doing. So is that going to now build up or accumulate to a new body of work or of another album?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Do you
We're
know
just going
when or
again.
how or not? Or you still planning stages?
Or if, yeah. Well, we're not really even in planning stages. We're just accumulating some work at the moment. Yeah. And that's a nice place to be. I think if I think too far ahead, it can be a little bit daunting. We're just accumulating some work at the moment, and I'm feeling good about some new music. I'm also writing for another project as well, which is feeling really great. And I'm also wanting to go into writing for pitch as well. Maybe getting some songs, take a bit of the pressure off me as far as marketing the work and putting the work out myself. Just writing some music for pitch as well, because I think there's some. I'm proud of my songwriting, and I really, like I say, I write songs that I want to listen to, and of course it's all very subjective, but that's okay. And I think a lot of the stuff can resonate, and whether I'm in a position to be able to take some of the songs as far as they could go or not, maybe not, maybe someone else is, or maybe it's a better fit, to their particular story, or, so I'm open to those sorts of things as well. And that's something that I haven't really explored. I'm just sort of planting the seed a little bit with that sort of approach to things at the moment, which is exciting.
So what is pitch? When you reference that, what does that mean?
Oh, so to pitch a song to another artist, to see if they would want to do it. Yeah, so writing a song and writing for pitch to see if they would be interested in releasing the work and putting it on one of their records or, yeah.
I love me a CD. I still budget for my CDs every month. I love the aesthetic of holding it. For me, it's an energy exchange. For you guys, all the hard work you put into it. I'm not sure if you're aware or aren't aware that physical is making a massive comeback. Vinyls, 5 million sales in the UK last year, the biggest since 1990. CDs are now on a sort of upward trajectory compared to being down. Cassettes, unbelievably, are back again. And we've also got these streaming platforms that people consume music on. What are your observations and perceptions of the consumer's market of music?
Yeah, well, for me, I'm not, I do get streams, but certainly my main market would be physical copies, quite a few CDs, a lot of vinyl. But yeah, CDs, and it's a lot of it is after shows. I mean, before releasing the record in August, we did a lot of pre-sales of physical units, CDs and records, vinyls. But a lot of that happens after shows as well. So at the merch counter, there'll be quite a lot of physical product being sold after a show.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I would like to, I'd like to sell more, of course, and I'd also like to get more streams as well. That being said, I look at it and I'm going to do anything else. I'm an artist and I'm supporting my family and I of the work that I do and the songs that I write and the shows that I put on, which is very rare. There are some friends of mine who certainly get a lot more streams, but they're not in that position to be able to do that. So you kind of, like I was sort of referring to before, it's a strange economy. It's a strange set of numbers. You mentioned that the ARIA Award that we won for the record last year. I mean, that was my seventh ARIA Award over 12 or 13 years in over 6 categories, which is something I'm really proud of. It's a really diverse spread of acknowledgements. And so I'm not without that acknowledgement at all by any means. There are some areas where I would like to see an uptake in that, be it streaming and, we'd all like to sell 1 million records. That would be great. But there's a lot of different indicators and there's a lot of different streams of data, that go into that come out of this industry and come out of people releasing music. In this country anyway, I hold a pretty unique position in that regard. So that's something that has been a little bit frustrating for me at times, but it's something that I'm leaning into, and certainly something I'm proud of. I think I've always been proud of it, but it's a promoter will look at how many streams you get as opposed to how many ARIAs you've won, things like that. So there are shows that I would love to be on that I don't really get a look into for because A, B, and C.
Yeah.
But then there's certain things that I do get a look in for because of, A, B, and C, D.
Yeah.
So it's and like I say, I mean, I have a nice home and we're very fortunate, and it's off the back of a lot of hard work, but hard work doing what I love to do.
So, and I recognize what you're saying, because like in my world, a lot of times they'll be like looking at the podcasts and not take into account the effects of podcasts. With podcast numbers are very different. For example, maybe a radio station where you have millions of listeners. Podcast is very different. And then it's like, oh, how many followers do you have on social media? And it's like, it's not about that. It's like there becomes that. Yeah. So I get the frustrations. Absolutely.
Again, it comes back to what we were talking about earlier, is just having that peace of mind to be able to smell the roses. I wouldn't trade anything for what I have. I'm very fortunate, albeit I do, sometimes have difficulty, sometimes at finding that that piece within my work or within the landscape.
Yes,
because I've never really fit. My records have had a few different genres on them, from record to record and even song to song within the records. And I just write music and sing music that I want to listen to. Exactly. And I like a lot of different types of music. So, it's not triggering any algorithms, triggering some, but I guess some of them it's not, so it's, I say source of frustration, but mostly things are, things are okay. But that's the thing. Not everything's okay all the time, and not everything's frustrating all the time. Yeah. It can be both things at once.
Exactly. So let's put it out there that moving forward, all the algorithms will be triggered. So you referenced this, that you love music. So I love this game. I know if I had to ask you this question in 2 minutes, 2 years, 2 hours, 20 minutes, I know your answer will be different every time because there are millions of them. And I'm not saying favorite. I'm saying top of mind. If you had to play 5 songs by other artists once you finish this conversation, what would those 5 songs be and by who?
I love the song Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. Mm-hmm. So I think it's my favorite song. Sugar Pie, Honey Bunch, one of my favorite songs. I love a band called DMAs who have got a song called Step Up the Morphine. They've got a lot of really beautiful songs, but Step Up the Morphine is an incredible song. It's off their first record, which was in 2016, and it's just they had a big single off that called Delete, which is also a really beautiful song. But off that record, Step Up the Morphine. There's a band out of the States called Beach Fossils and a record called Somersault that I love. I love that whole record. But This Year is the opening track to the record, and I love that. It's a great song and really beautiful production and arrangements, and very, very clever and gorgeous songwriting. I love Kate Bush. Running Up the Hill at the moment, which made a big resurgence last year.
Yes,
when it was in a show.
Stranger Things.
I was lucky enough. I was lucky enough to actually see her. She did like 25 shows at the Hammersmith Apollo in 2015.
Yeah.
So rather than doing like a world tour, she just did 25 shows at one venue, which is incredible. And they were all sold out, of course. It's like 4,500 capacity or something, and she did 25 of them. And I was lucky enough to go to one of those shows. And it was pretty special.
Dan, the podcast is listened to throughout the world. So as a final message, what would you like to say?
I don't know. Hello? Yeah. There's, I don't know. What do you say to the world? I just, I hope everyone's okay. There's a lot going on at the moment, but I suppose there's a lot going on all the time. I try not to, I try to be in my own heart as much as I can. I find that that's a peaceful place to be most of the time. And, I hope everyone is able to find peace within their own hearts. And if they can afford it, buy my record. And if they can't, then help me get my streaming numbers up.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Celeb Savant. Please follow Barrett on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Celeb Savant. That's CelebSavant.